Source files, icons, images, data files are all kinds of artifacts to build an application. A project organizes them. Hello and welcome to Code with Sar. I'm Sar. How are you doing? Today, we're going to spend time to look into what C# project is, why we have projects, how do we create them, and how do we read and understand them. So what is a project? It is a group of files. Those files are used to create an executable or a website or let's say a class library. Those files could contain source code, but also icons, images, data files, all kinds of things that you needed for building the project. It also includes the configurations too. In C#, there are different types of projects. For example, a console app builds to an executable, and a web app builds a web application. A WPF application builds a traditional desktop application with a GUI. At the very beginning, a program could be very simple, and we don't really need a project to manage those artifacts for us. But then we have more and more classes, as well as other types of artifacts, icons, images, etc., etc. We need some way to manage all these artifacts for us, and that management mechanism is a project. A project answers the critical questions for build the output. Things like, what are the inputs? Like these files that includes those classes. And then what's the output? For example, is that an executable or is that a website? And then there's configurations like which version of SDK to use, what is the target framework, and so on. Okay, enough said. Let's take a look at how to create a C# project. With .NET Core SDK installed, creating a project is very simple. For example, to create a console application, you just run .NET new console, and I'm going to name it console app. And by the way, I'll put a link to the upper right corner, just in case you want to review the process of install .NET Core SDK. Now that the project is created, let's open it in VSCode and see what's in it. There are two files, program.cs, which is the source code, and console.app.cs project, that is the configuration file for the project. I believe you are familiar with program.cs. Let's take a look at what's there in console.app.cs proj. On the top, there is the SDK version. This information will tell MSBuild how to interpret and understand the structure for the current project, and it decides the schema for the CS proj file that can be understood by MSBuild. And then there are output types of exe, and that means this project will build into an executable, and the target framework is net5. These two simple files actually completes the three elements that a project holds. The input, which is the program.cs file. The output is defined by the output type, which is an exe. And then other configurations like target framework and so on and so forth, that is in the CS proj file as well. A very, very useful tip here. Because I put a source control here in this project, I'm confident there are only two files that is provided by the console application template. That is very useful when I want to dive into what's provided in the templates and get the magic out. Now let me quickly commit these files, and then we'll spin up another project and take a look at that. I'm going to use the CLI to create another project. Again, you don't need to remember the details of these command lines. Whenever you have doubt, use -h for help. For example, if I don't remember what can I do with .NET New, I'm going to type in .NET New -h. There I see -l for lists templates containing the specified template name. So I'm going to use .NET New -l for the list of templates. Let's pick one that is relatively simple but different than a console. Let's see, Web API. So I'm going to type in .NET New Web API -n, giving it name Web API project, for example, and there it is. Let's take a look at the Web API project inside VS Code. Firstly, there are 8 files coming along with the template, compared to console app, which only have 2. Let me expand all the folders so that we can see all the files there. Firstly, we will notice there are more class files. Other than program.cs, we have startup.cs, weatherforecast.cs, and more. To build a simple web application, all these source files are needed. Those JSON files, although they are not source code that they do not need to compile, this still contributes to how the application runs. For example, In this launch settings.json, it defines things like environments, launch URL, application URL, so on and so forth. App settings are settings that can be customized and used by the app. Login labels as an example here. As you can see, there are different types of artifacts that is needed for building the project. Without managing them, the build process could become very tedious, and the project makes it simple. Now, how is this built to a web API while the other is a console app? Other than those artifacts, as you can guess, it is defined in the CS proj file. Next, I'll show you a trick to see the differences. First, you select this webapi project.cs proj for comparison. Then, you right-click this console app.cs proj and say compare with selected. Now you can see the differences by yourself. On the left-hand side is the first selected file, which is the web project. And you can see the SDK comes with the project is Microsoft.net.sdk.web. Compared to it is on the right-hand side, it is Microsoft.net.sdk. By that, MS Build just knows to build the web project as a web. Since it is a web, there's no need to specify the output type because it is determined. And even if it changed in the future, you know how to find it out. On the left side, we also see a package reference, and we're going to talk about that in detail in the future. Thanks for watching. Today's topic is about C# projects. I wish, at this moment, you have better understanding of what a C# project is and why we need it, and also how to create a .NET project with CLI, and the skills to read and understand the C# projects. I hope you like it. Give me a thumb up if you do. Subscribe so that you don't miss other topics, and I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, take care.